What's up, guys? Welcome back to the LOM podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my main channel, Jay Lyons. It will be linked in the description. So thank you if you do that. And if not, enjoy this episode. Peace.
There was a crisis going on, everyone. It's major. It affects all men and women. That's a lot of you on this channel, like quite literally like 60% of you. Don't leave because this affects your man or potentially the man that you're interested in or who has ghosted you and hasn't texted back in a while. It's very important that we all know this, which is men are becoming literal clones of each other. It's insane. I'm beginning to notice this. Maybe for some of you, it's like, yeah, Jay, we've been new. That all dudes are exactly the same. Which now that I think about it, maybe I probably should have known that, right? Now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, that's been obvious from the get-go. But I just mean looks-wise, you know? At least for the most part for a while, dudes have generally had like their own look, right? Every dude has like their own thing, I guess. But I just got back, well, not just, it was a couple weeks ago, but I got back from Notre Dame for a football game, and I was astounded at the amount of mullets I saw on campus. I was utterly dumbfounded. It was mind-boggling. That's a term nobody uses a lot anymore. It was mind-boggling how many mullets I saw. The mind-bogulation was off the charts. And, you know, you're probably like, come on, Jay, there wasn't that many mullets on campus. I mean, there can't be. No, there was a ton. Like, I swear, if you did like a head count, no pun intended, but if you did a head count of how many mullets were on campus, I'd probably say a good, I'm going to be generous here and say 80 to 90% of the men on campus had mullets. Even a few women had mullets on campus, you know? And I was like, hey, I mean, at least you're doing something different, you know? But men are all doing mullets. It's like, come on, can we have some variety on our side? You know, on our team, can we have a little variety? But no, everyone was doing mullets. Mullets have just become a big thing nowadays. And I don't know if it's just because maybe I'm a little more vigilant about it now, but ever since I came back from Notre Dame, the amount of mullets I see on a daily basis here in Florida is comparable to the amount I saw up in Notre Dame. And I was like, did all the dudes just decide to get a mullet on the weekend I went to Notre Dame? Because like, I don't remember seeing this many mullets in Florida before. But now they're everywhere. And I know you're thinking, you're like, well, Jay, don't you have a mullet? Yes, I do. Okay. And I could talk about how I pretty much started this trend because, you know, I started having a mullet back in like 2019. And so I pretty much pioneered this trend. I could say that, but I'm not going to, you know. I don't want to be that guy that's like, you know, oh, I had a mullet before, it was cool, even though it's totally true. But I'm not going to say that because I don't want to be that guy, even though it's true. But I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go there. But yes, I do have a mullet, and since coming back from Notre Dame and now seeing it here in Florida, I'm kind of like, do I want to keep the mullet or do I want to get rid of it? I know. It's crazy. Shocker. I'm going to cut my hair. Some of you probably only know me with this hairstyle, but you may not know that once upon a time, your boy had short hair. And when I think about it, I think I actually kind of like shorter hair, if I'm being real. I kind of enjoyed it. I think I looked better with shorter hair. And now, with the fact that literally all dudes are going full-on mullet, it's giving me more reason to, you know, move on, do something different. I don't like being a part of the trend, you know? I don't want to be just a same old normal dude, you know? I like to be unique. So maybe it's time for me to go back to the short hair. Or maybe I should do something really unique and go all the way back to the Troy Bolton haircut. What about that, fellas? What do you say?
Troy Bolton, High School Musical 1. Let's go back to that hairstyle, early 2000s bowl cuts. That's what we should get back to. Maybe I should hop on that trend again and just try to single-handedly bring back the bowl cuts, kind of like what I did with the mullet. But I'm not going to say that. But kind of like no, I'm not going to say it. But yeah, I used to have a Troy Bolton haircut. And what's funny is that, like, I remember back when that hairstyle was like a big thing, right? Everyone attributed it to Justin Bieber. And I'm like, are you guys just going to neglect the fact that Zac Efron had this hairstyle like years before we even knew who JB was? There was no Beliebers before, and Troy Bolton had this haircut. So, like, why are we attributing it to him? This is the Troy Bolton haircut, I used to feel some type of way about it when people were like, hey, you got the Justin Bieber hair. I'm like, no, I have the Troy Bolton hair. Okay, get it right. Okay? But yeah, we should bring that back, man. But just the hairstyle. Fashion sense, no. I don't know what people were thinking in the early 2000s with, like, their fashion choices. Like, dudes, I mean, the hugely oversized T-shirts and, like, the oversized jeans that were, like, bedazzled. And then with, like, a hat, Like, what was that, What was that fashion sense? Like, everyone was walking around looking like Fred Durst, Like, why? Looking back, I'm like, why did anyone think that looked good? We have much better fashion sense now. But then again, maybe I'll look back in, I don't know, 10 years or something like that and be like, what the fuck was I thinking back in 2022? I had to think about it for a second. I was going to say 21. We are in 22, right? I believe so. But yeah, maybe I'll look back and be like, what was I thinking with my fashion sense back then? But I don't think so. I think generally people have the general fashion trends nowadays, I think are pretty solid, right? Right? I mean, even the hairstyles, even though I was like kind of ranting about mullets for a hot second, I gotta say mullets look pretty good, It's kind of what's stopping me from cutting my hair is that, like, I think about my hair and I'm like, man, I should go back to the short hair. I've had this hairstyle for a while and maybe it's time to switch it up. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, the fuck was I thinking? Getting rid of this mane. No way. But still, I do want to cut. I want to switch things up. I want to try something different. I mean, it's not really different. It's me just going back to an older hairstyle. But I've had this hair for a while now, going on 4 years almost. It's crazy. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. The amount of dudes I saw with mullets on Notre Dame campus, because I've never seen that many in one place before. Like, I know that it's become a more popular hairstyle, but just seeing them out in public was just crazy. I usually just see them in like TikToks, people that just like cut their hair. And they're like, hey, look, I got the mullet. And it's like, oh, okay. But now I'm seeing it in real life. And I gotta say, the modern mullet, I don't think looks as good as, the 80s mullet, I don't think it looks that good. And so I'm like, mullets are cool, but could you at least have picked the cool mullet? Like, why'd you pick the bad looking one? You know what I mean? It's like they almost like buzz their head and then they just have long hair in the back, And it's like one of those stylistic choices where I'm like, why? Kind of like when like rat tails was a thing. Remember when that was a thing? When dudes would like shave their head, but they would have like this, like a few little hair strands in the back that are just 5 inches long. And it's like, what are you doing? I could just rip that right off your head, dude. Why? And like, why did anyone think that was cool? I'm so happy I didn't do that because I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be like, Mom, why'd you let me do that? Why'd you allow me to have 2 hair strands be 5 inches long while I buzz the rest of my head? Why'd you allow that? Why'd you let me out the door with that hairstyle? But that was a thing. I remember I saw like a bunch of kids when I was little with rat tails.
I was like, you guys could at least have done like a ponytail, you know? At least like that's a decent hairstyle. But no, you went with like the ugliest version of a ponytail. It's so ugly they can't even call it a ponytail. They call it a rat tail. Because who likes rats? Except Remy. Remy's a cool rat. Remy's the only rat that I would own ever. You know, if I was to get a rat, I would definitely pick one that cooks, because then I'll just let him cook. I'll be like, yo, pop off, sis. Cook me some, you know, ravioli or something. I don't know. And just see him in the kitchen, just like doing shit. Well, probably he'll need my help. You have to like pull my hair, because obviously he'll have tiny paws, so it's like he can't really pick up pots and pans and stuff like that. And if you did get a pot that was like his size, it's like he's only making enough for him. I mean, like I wouldn't be able to have that size portion. I mean, that would be like insanely small, right? So like he would need somebody's help. But like that would be cool. Maybe I could brush up on my cooking skills. You know, maybe I could just take some tips, understand what he's thinking. You know, because he's like the brain. You know, pulling my hair and being like, hey, salt that meat, you know? I'll be like, okay, I have to remember that in the future. Use like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of salt, I should say. A tablespoon is a lot, actually, of salt. But anyways, where am I going with this? I don't know. Basically, all dudes are just starting to look the same. And like, I'll even say fashion choice a little bit. Like it just seems like a lot of dudes just starting to look exactly the same, you know? And maybe it's only on college campuses, because that's really where I got this realization. But I was in line to get on the shuttle bus to take us from the parking lot to the football stadium, because I was at Notre Dame for a football game. And when we were at this bus stop or whatever, there was this group of guys, right, who they all had mullets. Every single one of them. There wasn't a single dude in this group that did not have a mullet. And I'm like, do you guys not stop and look at each other and you're like, why do we look like clones? Why do we choose to all look exactly the same? How are you supposed to stand out? You can't. You all look exactly the same. You know? And even their fashion choices almost looked exactly the same. Right? They all had like athletic shoes. And they all had, dark colored shorts, and then like they all had white t-shirts. Only a few of them had baseball caps, and some of them didn't. But other than that, they were all wearing almost exactly the same thing. And you're probably thinking, well, maybe they're part of a group. No, they weren't, because like it's not like they were wearing like matching t-shirts. They weren't wearing matching shorts, but they were just like all in the same realm, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I'm like, there was like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 of them. Like, this is insane. The amount of mullets that are going on right now. I felt like I was one in a crowd, you know? Just like almost invisible in the sea of mullets. And yeah, even when I got in the stadium, like more and more were just everywhere. Everywhere I went on campus, there was just mullets galore. I'm like, guys, come on. We got to do something different. We got to switch it up a little bit. Some of us have to look different, you know? It's kind of like when man buns was a thing for a hot second, you know? I feel like they've mostly died probably because the mullets are taking over. But, I mean, yeah, there were, like, in the past couple years, something like that, like, there was a ton of man buns. And I don't really like that hairstyle, you know? I'm kind of hating on all hairstyles, but I like mullets, you know? Rat tails are the only thing that's, like, really bad. And man buns, I'm not a huge fan of man buns either. But yeah, that was a big thing. And that was another reason why I didn't want to have a man bun, because I'll be like, dude, I just look like everyone else. I had a couple friends who were like, no, dudes with man buns look awesome. You should get a man bun. And I'm like, absolutely not, bro. It's like, no. Not only do I not like man buns, but everyone has man buns now. But now would be a good time for a few guys to get a man bun because then you'll look different. Now it's unique again because how many dudes have man buns anymore? Not a whole lot. The mullets are taking over. Everyone's getting a mullet. I saw this one horrible mullet. There was like this video that I think it was on TikTok of like this guy. He was like a best man at a wedding, and so he was giving like some like best man speech and stuff like that. And his mullet was terrible. I mean, he had like longish hair on the top, and he had really bushy long hair in the back. And it was like in a triangle shape, from like the top of his head, it came out like it was like Darth Vader or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it just like came out from his head and it was just bushy and curly and all that stuff. But then like the sides were buzzed, almost bald on the sides. And I'm like, what kind of mullet is that, dude? I mean, that's like a borderline mohawk mullet. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm like, there's bad mullets, and then there's that, And I'm glad I wasn't the only one because I went into the comments, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's the worst mullet I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, imagine posting this video on TikTok of you being like, hey, look at the... look at this speech I gave at my best friend's wedding, and nobody cares about the speech, and everyone's just roasting your mullet. They're like, dude, what were you thinking? And they're like, dude, the barber must hate this guy. He fucked his shit up. Felt bad for him. I was surprised the video was still up. I mean, I I would have figured he would have deleted it. After a while, he's like, okay, people got to stop making fun of my mullet. But probably like the day he posted that, saw all those comments, he probably went straight to his barber and shaved it right off. I mean, that's what I would have done. If I knew my mullet was that bad, I would just get rid of it. I'd be like, okay, I guess it's the end of this. This era is over. The mullet era is over. I'm not doing this again. But yeah, low-key felt bad. I didn't say anything because, like, what needed to be said was said. So, but anyways, yeah, it's my little thing on mullets. I was going to talk about it last episode, but, the hurricane was coming up, so that was what was on my mind. Which, by the way, the hurricane that came through, I'm kind of surprised at how bad it was, because the past few hurricanes that I've been through have not really been that bad, and so I guess I wasn't really like thinking it was going to be that bad, and luckily for me and in my area, we weren't hit that bad. But it's also kind of crazy like which areas were hit bad and which areas were not. I mean, there's like an area, it's literally like right down the street from my place, and it got like wrecked, major flooding and all this stuff, and like we didn't get anything. And I'm like, it's crazy how like this spot got fucked up and this spot didn't, and as far as I know, my family in South Florida are safe and okay, so like that's a good thing. But still, like you just look at the photos and stuff like that. Like I'm honestly amazed at the amount of destruction that happened. I just was not expecting the hurricane to be as bad as it was. Like I was watching videos of it like while it was happening, and people just like in water up to here, and they're like standing. People on like their second floor of their house, and like the water is like coming up onto the second floor. I saw this video of like this family that was on the second floor, and they were filming out onto their balcony, and you can see the water like really high up, and they walk over to their stairs, and literally the water was like right at the top of the stairs. And I'm like, that's insane. That much water came on the land. You know what I mean? Like it was insane. So obviously like thoughts and prayers go out to everyone out there and who are affected. Still, it was crazy. Couldn't believe it. Because like I said, the past few hurricanes that came through just weren't really that bad. I mean, yeah, there's always like some damage and stuff like that, but to this extent, holy shit. I mean, there was areas that were just leveled. Yeah, insane. Hurricanes are crazy. Weather is crazy, dude. Who knew weather could be that insane? you watch videos of just like wind taking out houses, like they just explode into the wind. And it's like, that's insane that air did that. Think about that. Air did that to a house. It's crazy. But yeah, kind of put a downer on this episode, didn't I? Talking about the hurricane. But I just want to take a moment real quick to just, I don't know, acknowledge what happened, and how bad it was. And anyone who's in those areas, if you are listening to this podcast, just, I hope you and your family are okay. And anyone who was affected, who like maybe they lost their house or something like that, I hope that, you guys get the help that you need and all that stuff. But yeah, it made me thinking about flooding, because like when I saw how bad it was over in Fort Myers, I guess it wasn't like the Fort Myers area that got insane, and like I heard a bunch of flooding in Orlando, like Universal. They have like this little moat or lake type thing that they have going through their property where like shuttle boats go on, where that take people from like the hotels to City Walk and stuff like that. And on the sides, on like the banks of this lake or moat, whatever you want to call it, there's like sidewalks, so you can walk from the hotel to City Walk if you want to, or vice versa. And there was so much rain and so much water that like the sidewalks got flooded. Like the moat, just shit ton of water. And then the Hulk roller coaster, there's like a part where the coaster goes under a bridge. And there's obviously no water normally. And it's even like, they even have banks that are built up a little bit towards the bridge, so like no water accidentally gets in there. But still, like the lake in the center filled up enough to go over those banks and into the roller coaster. And so like the Hulk was underwater, part of it, And then Jurassic Park, I don't know how this happened, but there's like the side of the building got like blown off. I'm like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? Like how did I don't know. I thought that was probably like the craziest thing that I saw, at least in the Orlando area. But yeah, there was some pretty bad flooding in the Orlando area, and so I was kind of worried that there was gonna be flooding in my area, in like my house. Because like really, I gotta say, in terms of like destruction and like losing property in terms of weather, I'd say probably flooding is probably the worst, because at least if like, at least if it's like a tornado or something like that, or even like an earthquake and stuff like that, like if like your house gets like blown away or something like that by just like wind, at least you can go and you could probably salvage your items out of like the wreckage, like you may find your PlayStation up in a tree 3 blocks away, but at least you got your PlayStation, right? And it just kind of flew for a hot second, right? But like when it comes to flooding, that shit's just gone. That shit's just, there's no coming back from that. Water damage is just the worst, And so I was worried that like there was going to get major flooding here and I was going to lose like everything. Because I'm like, come on. If there's any destruction that is to happen to my house, could it just at least be, maybe a tree just flies through the window? Maybe like that's the worst that we get, just no flooding. Just please, no flooding, I guess fire is another thing that's almost equally as bad as water. Because I mean that shit just really, it just destroys everything, Like those houses that got flooded out, those are just gone. Because like the mold and mildew that's gonna grow in that house now, that it's all water damaged, like you got to get rid of it. You got to get rid of the house and you got to build a new one. And so it's like, at least if like a tornado comes through or something like that and just blows a couple trees through my windows, at least I could just fix the window. Just clean up the damage. It's all good. But yeah, no, I was not looking forward to water. Which is why I thank the Lord that
we didn't get flooded. Because I was really not looking forward to that. I'm like, I'm not looking forward to swimming through my living room, you know? That's not really something that I'm particularly interested in, you know? Yeah, water damage is just the worst. I hate it. Like anything that was like electronic, that was like on my floor, which was like my PlayStation, I like put it up. I put it up on my desk, and like my desk is just had like a bunch of stuff on it that I'm like, if there is flooding, I don't want this shit damaged. You know what I mean? I didn't want to deal with it. But yeah. Anyways, is that going to be it? I don't really have anything else to talk about, you know? And I kind of put a downer on this episode, so like, I don't want to just like hop into something fun, you know? But I mean, I guess I'll talk about something real quick. So like we got this project to do for one of my classes, and it's for like this class called like script analysis, and it's where basically you kind of like learn. Basically, it's like how you learn how a script is made and all this type of stuff. And so we're doing like this one project where we're supposed to take a script, and we're going to be like, this thing is called like a dramaturg, right? Never heard of this term before, okay? But apparently it's this really big position, at least in the theater world, right? And it's where this person like analyzes an era or something like that in which the show or the play or the movie or the whatever takes place, and they just kind of put it into action, I guess, so to speak. So it's kind of like the person that makes sure everything is accurate if something is pertaining to a particular era, right? So like if you're doing a play that takes place in the 1950s or something like that, right? This is the person that goes in and goes like, okay, well, what kind of leather jackets were they wearing in the 50s, you know? Well, first, like, what was the fashion in the 50s? Okay, this is the fashion. Okay, now how do we get, like, authentic, or at least close to authentic stuff and all that? And so, and like, we have to analyze the characters and analyze how, like, the era affects them and all this stuff, right? And so, like, I don't know many plays because it has to be a play, you know? And so I'm like, dude, what? If I'm being real, I don't know any plays, really, you know? And she was trying to make sure, our teacher was trying to make sure that we didn't do musicals, but obviously she said you could, but she just advises against it. And, of course, I don't know any other plays except musicals, you know, like Hamilton or something like that, you know? But I didn't want to do Hamilton. So I decided to do Grease, because I was like, you know, Grease is a good movie, even though I know the movie is not completely accurate to the play. But I was like, I'll do Grease, right? I can't find that script anywhere, right? And like there's characters that were different in the play versus the movie. And I'm like, what? Where's the script for like the original play, you know? And like I looked it up, and I found a few links that took me to a script, but every script I read, there was something different about it, you know? Like there was one where there was this character in there, and her name was Jan, right? And I believe she's also in the film Grease, but she may have a different name, but I'm pretty sure her name is Jan. But anyways, they had her in the script, right? But they had her also saying the parts of Patty from the movie, right? You know, like the really nerdy girl or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's obviously wrong. And so I went to a different script, and in this one, Jan just wasn't in the play at all. And all Jan's lines were given to the character Marty, you know? And so I was like, okay, well, maybe this is correct, right? And because I wasn't even thinking that there was legitimately a Jan in the play. I thought that this other script just made a mistake, right? Because at the beginning, where they tell you like the table of contents and all that shit, they said, oh, the list of characters that are in the play, and Jan wasn't in there. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe Jan just doesn't exist in the original play, right? But then I find out, like reading the Wikipedia, the original play did have a character Jan. And so now I'm like, okay, well now I got to find a script that's gives the right lines to the right characters while also still having Jan, you know? Because at least in the one where they gave all the lines to Marty, Patty's lines were Patty's lines again, you know? And so I'm like looking all over for this, and I can't find the damn script anywhere. And so I'm kind of like, couldn't I just basically use the film for reference, you know, instead of the script? Because at least for the most part, the film is accurate, you know? And it's not like I have to do every character mentioned, right? Like, I don't have to do like the principal of the school of Rydell High, right? I don't have to do the principal. She's not a main character, right? She's just sort of like a character that's in there, right? And so it's like I should only have to do like the main characters, you know, like Danny and Sandy, Rizzo, Kanicki, and you know all the T-Birds and all the Pink Ladies, right? That's basically all I have to do. I mean, right? Because those are really like the main focus of the story is these characters. And so I'm like, can I just use the film, right? But I don't think all the T-Birds are correct either. You know, I think there's one T-Bird or something like that. I think in the film, right? There's 3 T-Birds, not including Kanicki and Danny. So in total, there's like 5, right? But I think in the play, I think there's only Kanicki, Danny. I think there's only one other dude. So it may just be 3, but there might be a 4th guy. But the point is that I think that there's an extra guy in the film, right? There's a guy in the film that's not in the play, right? So I got to figure out which character the one in the play is supposed to be in the movie, you know? I don't know, man. Very confusing. Luckily, it got pushed back, the due date, because of the hurricane. You know, it's like the only good thing from the hurricane is that some things were pushed back. So I have a little bit more time to fully figure out this project, but still, also at the same time, I hate when like large amounts of work gets pushed back, right? Like, usually when it comes to school, like every week, I look at the things that are due that week and I kind of memorize, okay, which things are due which days, right? And there's usually like a pattern to it, right? There's projects that are just always due on a certain day at a certain time, right? And so I was kind of getting into like this flow, and then like the hurricane comes in and everything like gets pushed back and all this stuff because campus was closed and this, that, and the other. And so now like the dates are all screwed. And so like for the past few days, I've been like having, you know, like internal crises about like when things are due. I was like, fuck, is something due today? Is something due tomorrow? What's due? And I keep checking my to-do list to figure out like what's due when and all that stuff. Cause I'm trying to schedule out, like trying to disperse distribute, I should say, how to distribute my work across the week in order to make sure I get everything done and I have ample time to do everything, right? Like this dramaturg project or something like that. It's going to take a while. So I need to devote X amount of time to it, you know, and I don't want to do it all last minute because like that's just going to suck some major ass, you know? So yeah, I don't like that. You know, if like a class goes like, okay, we're going to change this date to this one, but like no other class does that, right? It's just like every once in a while, like, yeah, that's a good thing because then, you know, you got more time to do something. But, oh my God, they were pushing back everything, you know? And they had to keep making adjustments because like work that was supposed to be due like earlier this week had to get pushed back as well. And so like over the weekend, I was like freaking the fuck out because there was like 20 things on my to-do list. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get all this done. But luckily, a lot of it was, you know, pushed back to a later date and everything's starting to work out. And I got a bunch of work done anyways over the weekend and all that stuff. So I'm back to being sane a little bit. You know, I'm not stressed out as much anymore. But yeah, dude, I was freaking out, man. I was like, what is due? When is this due? When's that due? You know? And this dramaturg thing was really kicking my ass because I was like scouring the internet for hours trying to find a script. And I think the only the only way to get the original script is to buy the book off of, I found it on Amazon. But they're like, oh, it's going to take like 3 weeks to get here. And I'm like, I don't have 3 weeks, okay? I was literally just given this project Monday, a week ago, you know? And it was supposed to be due today for you guys, Wednesday. It was supposed to be due today. But then I got pushed back, luckily. You know, so I got more time to figure things out and all that shit. But I was like, I don't have 3 weeks, you know? Like, why can't someone just put the PDF of the script on the internet like they always do, you know? The school version is on the internet, you know, like the ones that they use for high school plays and shit like that, you know, like the school appropriate ones. Because apparently there's a lot of swearing in the original script. You know, like they're dropping the F-bomb left, right, and center. It's just atrocious. Couldn't be me, man. Couldn't be me. But also, it's October. You know, you may have noticed there's something a little bit different about this episode. You may have noticed there's pumpkins around me. Maybe you didn't, but there are pumpkins around me. And we got a cornucopia this year. Did I have a cornucopia last year? I don't think so. I was looking for a cornucopia last year, specifically for November, for like the Thanksgiving month, because cornucopias are a thing with Thanksgiving. And so I was looking for a cornucopia and I couldn't find it, but now we have one. So that's pretty sweet. But yeah, and then I got this Gremlins mug, you know. I haven't used it in a while. Partly because it's so fucking big. Like, geez, this mug is ginormous. When I went to get coffee, I had to put 2 mugfuls into this just to get it, you know, somewhat full. I didn't put 2 K-cups. I had 1 K-cup and I just ran hot water through the K-cup again, you know, because I don't want the coffee too strong, you know. But yeah, this thing is ginormous, dude. But yeah, I thought I'd take it out because it's the Halloween month, you know, and so, you know, we gotta have scary movies and stuff like that. Gremlins, pretty good movie. So we got a Halloween mug for the Halloween month. But yeah, I'm hyped for Halloween, you know? I kind of like Halloween. It's kind of cool. But I don't know what I'm going to dress up as for this year. You know, I've had a few ideas of like things I've wanted to do in the past, but I haven't gotten around to doing it. But yeah, I'm thinking like I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do for Halloween, like the costume and shit like that, you know? I'm planning on going to Halloween Horror Nights. Well, I'm thinking about going to Halloween Horror Nights this year because it looks like they got some pretty cool houses. I'm bummed that they didn't have Stranger Things, dude. With Stranger Things Season 4, it's like, why? How'd you guys fumble the bag? You know? You guys could have made bank. Because, I mean, their Stranger Things houses were extremely popular in the past, so it's like, moneymaker, hello? But no, we got The Weeknd. Which, I mean, he's a good singer. I don't know how good his haunted house is, you know. Also, I don't understand, like, what's the horror, you know? Like, I don't know. Kind of confusing. Kind of dead that they have a singer for Halloween Horror Nights. It's like, yes, a pop singer terrifies me. Well, he's not really a pop singer. He's like, isn't he like R&B? Something like that. I don't know, man. I don't know music genres. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. So Halloween is coming up, and even though like I talk about how, you know, we shouldn't do holiday things too early, you know what I mean? Like complaining about companies bringing out Halloween decorations in like June and shit like that. But you know me, man. I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I've been listening to Christmas music recently, and I've been enjoying every minute of it too. You know, after the hurricane came through, a bit of a cold front came through, and so it was like it's been like 64 degrees. You know, which which is probably not that cold, 64, probably people in like Canada or some shit. They're like, that's nothing, dude. We're living in like literal 40-degree weather. I was actually where was this? I saw like this clip from, I don't know if it was a football game or something. It was some sort of sporting event, I swear. Oh yeah. So I was watching the Florida State football game, and during the football game, the Yankees had a baseball game going on, and I guess some historic moment did or was going to happen. I actually don't know if it actually happened or not, but there was this guy who's on the Yankees who I guess was going to break the home run streak or something like that. Like how many home runs a player's had. And I guess the streak was like 61 home runs over the course of someone's career. And this guy was on 61 and he was going to get 62, or at least people were hyping him up to get 62 in this game and stuff like that. And so ESPN really wanted me to watch this for some reason, even though I clearly clicked on the Florida State football game. It's like, look, I get that this is like a historic moment and baseball fans are probably blown away. They're probably like hyped out of their minds, and all that shit. But like, I don't give a shit, like I'm not a baseball person, and so I didn't really care. But there was like times where they would be like, okay, he's up, he's playing, he's going to get the home run. And they would like do like a side by side, they'll have like the football game on one screen and they'll have the baseball game on the other screen. And then they'll pipe in the sound from the baseball game just to make sure that I'm watching this guy get his 60-second home run, which I don't really care about. If it was 69, maybe I'll be a little bit interested, but 62, I don't give a fuck. I didn't even know 61 was the streak to beat anyways. I didn't know what the most home runs somebody had was. Honestly, I didn't even know that was like a, like a thing. Like it just didn't really cross my mind. I never really thought, who has the most home runs in baseball history? You know what I mean? It's like I thoroughly enjoy football, and I've never thought about who's made the most touchdowns over the course of their football career. I have no idea, and I don't really care. The only thing I care about is how many touchdowns my team gets. I don't care about the person specifically. I care about my team, which unfortunately Florida State did lose. It was an atrocious game, and I blame it on ESPN for showing me baseball. It got me a little bit pissed off, and I couldn't properly root for my team. But anyways, where am I going with this? What I'm trying to say was that it was a baseball game in New York, okay? And when they were showing me this guy getting his 60-second home run, which I didn't even witness it happen, because every time they showed it during the football game, he would just like strike out, and they're like, oh man, that's too bad. It's like, yeah, you just wasted 10 minutes of my life showing me this guy miss a ball. What do you have to say for yourself? That you literally wasted my time. I could have spent watching my football game. But anyways, I keep getting off topic. The point is that they would show the crowd every once in a while, and the crowd was bundled up in jackets. That's literally the whole point. That's all I was trying to say. Basically, I was literally just trying to say that it was cold in New York. That's all I was saying. It's cold up north, and yeah, it's really not that important. Yeah, what I was saying was that yes, 64 is cold down here, but it's probably not that bad because people up north are already bundled up in like 3 layers of jackets, because they were, like I said, at this baseball game, everyone was bundled up and you could like see their breath and all this stuff. And so my point is it's cold up north. That's all I was trying to say. But yeah, I went off on a mini rant about baseball, I'm sorry. I don't even know who the guy is, That's how little I cared about it. They probably said his name like 20 times, and I'm like, I don't shit. I don't give a shit. That's what I was saying. I don't care about your home runs. Congratulations to you, but just me specifically, I don't care because I wanted to watch the football game, It'd be like, imagine if you're watching, I don't know, like imagine you're watching the Kardashians, right? And you're waiting to hear the next juicy gossip between Kendall Jenner and Kim Kardashian. And then somebody comes in and says, "Yo, look what's going on with the D'Amelio family." And it's like, and then like nothing happens. And like your Kardashian show is muted. And so you just see Kim and Kendall yelling at each other, but you don't know what they're saying because it's muted. And all you hear is, Charlie and Dixie being the best of friends. And they're like, something crazy is going to go down. I swear, just keep watching. And then in 15 minutes, nothing happens. And like, oh, okay, well, we'll take you back to the show that you actually wanted to watch. But I guess maybe they assume people who are watching football just care about sports in general. But that's not me, man. I literally only care about football. And literally, it's just college football. I'm not even a huge fan of the NFL. Even though I will say I'm a little hyped that the Dolphins are doing pretty well this year, except their quarterback did get a concussion. I think he did. I don't know. I saw some video of him getting like this terrible injury, and then people were making jokes that like the coach put him back in the game, which I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I didn't watch the game, but at least up until that point, because I think the Dolphins did lose that game. But at least until that point, the Dolphins were doing pretty well. I think they were like number one in their conference or whatever, their side of the league. There's like two, whatever. Yeah, I don't really care about NFL. I'm a college football guy. Notre Dame, Florida State, and UCLA. I was a little bummed that I missed the UCLA game because usually the UCLA games are like televised on the Pac-12 network and stuff like that because that's their conference. And we don't get the Pac-12 network on Hulu. And so I couldn't watch it. And it wasn't on ESPN, The only way to get it was like some random TV network that I didn't even know about, and then you had to pay a subscription too. And so I'm like, no. But last weekend, their game was on ESPN, and I missed it. I just completely forgot. It was like, I think it was on Friday, and I completely missed it. And I was like, fuck. Apparently, it was a pretty good game. I saw a few clips from it, and UCLA won. Good, great. But yeah, I missed it. Damn, sucks. Notre Dame had a bye week though, so. But yeah, that's football. I just care about college football. I don't even really care about basketball. It's not really my thing. Baseball, no. I could say volleyball might be my thing because I played volleyball for a hot second, but I think it's more fun participating in the volleyball game versus watching it. Kind of like the same thing with baseball. I think seeing a baseball game in person or actually playing in the game is more fun than watching it on TV. You know what I mean? I can see the appeal of basketball, but I'm just not a big basketball person. But anyways, sports. I'm not a big sports person, I look into sports, but like, it's funny because I don't look into the players. You know what I mean? I just like I've said, I just care about my team, right? And so if my team is doing well, I'm happy. If they're not doing well, I'm unhappy, right? But if you talk to like any other dude who's like really into sports and stuff like that, like they start going into like stats of like basketball players and football players and like, yo, Odell Beckham was doing insane. Did you see like he was doing this? He had like a 3.5 second 60-yard dash or something like that. I don't know if that's fast or slow or not, but they start going into like all the stats of the players, and they're like, yo, did you see what Kyrie Irving did? He did like, or Kyrie Irving did. He did like 5 3-pointers and all this stuff. And I'm like, just say, I don't even know what team he's on. What team is Kyrie on? Is he on the Lakers or is he on? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know basketball. But yeah, they start going into all the stats. I'm like, no. I'm just here to say Florida State football is doing great this year. That's all I came to say, Like I know players' names, obviously, but when dudes talk about sports, they really get into like the statistics, and like the analytics of a player and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of like wild, Like sports just in general, like the whole like environment of it is insane. Because I mean, like imagine you're going to work and stuff like that, and people are like analyzing your job performance and publicly debating about it on national television, and they have like an entire network devoted to like your line of work and analyzing you and all your buddies' performance in your job. You know, that's just insane. So like, but yeah, people are just really into that, and you know, more power to you if you like that. But that's not me. So like, I don't really talk about sports because like I know nothing about sports really, and plus, people who are really into sports are really into multiple sports. You know, they'll be into soccer and basketball and football, and maybe even baseball. But that's just not me. I'm really just into college football. Are my teams doing well or not? That's it. But anyways, yeah. I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Lion on Main. I've been your host, Jay Lyons. I was going to say Jay motherfucking Lyons. That would have sounded cooler, right? No? Anyways. Whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review. All that really helps me out a lot. Follow me on social media, at RealJLyons and at Lion on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Luckily, I didn't get swept up. That was a rough. Anyways. Yeah. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Once again, dudes are becoming literal clones of each other. Break the norm. Don't conform to society. Get rid of the mullet. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Yeah. That's it. Love you. I don't know. Do I?